I was really getting to the end of my line. I mean, I had hired a C-level executive to come in and help with numbers. We had hired a finance director to come in. I spent a significant amount of time and energy and of course, company money and resources to build an in-house team. And what I found was, I kind of needed a skill set that was going to be very difficult to find in just one person. This had to be someone who is ready to be on the ground in the trenches doing the day-to-day bookkeeping, but then be able to switch hats and give me strategic input to how we can plan out banking relationships. And just finding that person, well, one person that could do that was nearly impossible. I mean, that's really what I tried to do for so many years. And I just couldn't find that unicorn. And at some point I thought, you know, we're not a huge business. We really shouldn't have a finance department with 3 or 4 different people full time that have different skill sets. I need one person with lots of skill sets. But as you know, that's very difficult to find. Particularly, you get somebody with a skill set up here, they don't want to do the stuff they did in the beginning of their career and vice versa. So that's really where I started to think about, is there another way? And I had never heard of anything like what TurboExecs offered until a colleague of mine brought that to me and then said, hey, this is an option. That's really why I turned away from the traditional route of building a finance department. I think the systems thinking, not just taking on a task, but saying, okay, how can we get through this pile of paperwork? But then what can we set up? What processes, what training, what people, what technology can we put in place so we never get to this point again? And over the last 90 days or 120 days, because of that focus with the TurboExecs team, I've been able to, the hamster wheel feels like it's slowing down because I'm not just pushing the problem back another quarter. We're resolving things, we're putting systems in place, we're getting the right people in place, and then it's just happening. So, I anticipate that if we do that for another month or two, we're going to be at the point where now I can really start to think about, strategically think about the future rather than tripping on, what happened last week or last month or last quarter. I mean, some things I did on my side. The first thing going into this was I said, I need to, I've hired an expert. And so I need to have some trust. And that was difficult because I founded this company. I seeded it. I've made a lot of sacrifices financially over the years to make sure it continues to grow, a lot of reinvestment, many millions of dollars. And, this is my biggest asset for my family. And so making sure that, I've always held that very tightly, but very quickly, very early on, I started to feel a level of comfort and trust. And I think that was the biggest thing that I had to start to say, look, I'm going to hire some experts. I'm going to listen to them. I know what I'm doing, but I can always learn. I'm always open to learning. And that trust, along with being open to trying new things and trying it a different way and seeing it a different way, that was the first thing that I've noticed has really helped. By doing that, I also started to take the emotion out of money, and that really started to help as well. And the way that TurboExecs worked with me and presented things were more along the lines of non-emotional. Because if I had when I've had finance people in here, sometimes they would come in at inopportune times. Maybe I was dealing with another situation. Maybe I was already stressed about something else, financially. Maybe I was concerned. Maybe it just wasn't a good time. I didn't want to deal with it. But it was always like right in front of me because I had an employee or a team in front of me in my office. And so I couldn't always sit and assess the situation. I never had time to really think about it and then react and respond in an appropriate way to move forward. A lot of times it would just be somebody would come into my office, dump a report. I'd look at it, know it was wrong, or no, it wasn't the information I needed, or something I didn't want to see and deal with. And then, of course, the rest of my day would be worried about that. With TurboExecs, the pace is a lot different. I can deal with things as they come. We have automated reports set up now. And the cadence just feels really good. Nothing feels like it's on fire. I can't say enough good things about the TurboExecs team and just the care and the attention. I feel like I have a lot of people. I feel like I have a whole department, number one. I feel like I've got backup, I've got resources. I feel like I have people that I can delegate to and that they'll do it with a smile. But I also feel like, I don't know, I just feel like I feel like I have the right, there's a level of professionalism, but there's also a level of, there's also a relationship there. It's not a vendor, it's not like my CPA, or not my CPA, but maybe a CPA, right? Where it's just, give me the numbers, I'll give you the data back, and that's it. Like, it's not a cut and dry relationship like you would think that maybe you would have with a finance professional. It's much warmer, it's much more friendly. I feel like TurboExecs is part of my team. The TurboExecs, the folks that I work with at TurboExecs are actually listed on my org chart. So it does not feel like a vendor relationship at all, not at all. I consider the folks at TurboExecs to be my CFO, my finance director, my bookkeeper. I mean, and they're listed on my org that way. I think the biggest intangible benefit is not feeling alone. I feel like if I have an issue, instead of keeping it internal and internalizing it and taking it with me or stressing me out, I just send an email to my team, TurboExecs, and they're on it, and it's not just, I feel like TurboExecs, because of their level of experience, also understands the emotions that a C-level executive goes through, an owner, a partner, that we go through when it comes to money, and the fact that we have, dozens or hundreds of families that count on us. So I feel like that's it's not always spoken, but there's a level of care and personal consideration and concern that I feel from the team. Yeah, that's a big intangible. That feels pretty good. In my position as CEO, I don't have a lot of people that I know understand me, and that I can really go to when I have a concern. A lot of times I have to stay inside, but with TurboExecs, I know I can share those concerns, and I know there's always going to be an answer coming back to allay those concerns and then to tackle the root cause, and fix it. Number one is, finances do not have to be complicated if you're working with professionals that know what they're doing. I think that's a big takeaway. I think number two is once you have the numbers in place and you really know your financial operations, your mindset really changes to how can I improve my situation rather than, well, now I know what happened last month. I was always lagging behind. So the numbers really didn't matter too much because there's nothing I could do about them. Now I'm starting to see where because things are accurate, I can start to see the patterns. And I think that's a really big takeaway. And then the third thing that I've learned is that the cost of hiring and maintaining an internal team of just even one finance professional, I get a whole range of skill sets for the same price, or honestly, maybe even a cost savings if you look at the whole big picture of the cost. So it's like, from a financial standpoint, I think, and you probably heard this many times, I wish I would have done this years ago. I mean, if I count up the money that I've saved by hiring bookkeepers and then added in missed invoices, things that didn't get paid, things that didn't get billed correctly, mistakes that I made because I had wrong data, I mean, it's not even close. The ROI on this relationship exceeds any internal team that I've ever had. If you're not 100% satisfied with the situation you're in now, you have absolutely nothing to lose. And don't be afraid of the cost, because I found, just speaking very candidly, that very, very quickly the value outpaced whatever I was spending.